Okay, we are live on YouTube.
All right. Well, that was exciting. Good morning, everyone. My apologies. YouTube changed their interface, and of course, they didn't send us an email. And so when we tried to go live, the interface had changed, and it took us a few moments to figure that out. My apologies for starting our mornings with the manager a couple of minutes later than 9 o'clock. So good morning to all of you that are listening, and I hope you have a great day and that you all are safe and healthy wherever you are listening to this Mornings with the Managers broadcast. Today, I want to talk about a few items that I think might be of interest for all of you. In the past week, things have happened in the county of Monterey and in the city of Monterey, and the largest event or the biggest event notable was that the state accepted the readiness attestation by the county of Monterey, and on Saturday, some of our restaurants opened up again based on the permission given to them by the state with in the restaurant dining options. Of course, there are a lot of other procedures in place to ensure that the patrons of the restaurants are safe, as well as the employees working in a safe environment. But you can tell that our restaurants are now slowly opening up, and those of you who want to go out and enjoy a local prepared dinner again, you can certainly go onto the wharf or into our other restaurants that are open across town and again enjoy the great food that we have here on the Monterey Peninsula. We're truly, truly blessed with the variety that we have here. And when you venture out one day again and you go into other areas, you will really see how exceptional great our cuisine is. Having said that, Saturday last week at about 11 o'clock, everyone got the green light from the state and Dr. Moreno, and restaurants are open now. Also, some limited other retail has opened as well. The other important element that is going to start now also is that we are opening up one of our facilities, which is our library. And when I say opening up, what it means in effect is that you can, in the next week sometime, expect us to make an announcement to be ready for curbside delivery, curbside pickup. Our library staff is working on that system and is getting ready to prepare the library for that announcement. And we hope that on Monday or Tuesday, through the media, we can let everyone know that we are ready in that week to again create an actual relationship between our residents, our customers for the library, and our library by actually again physically exchanging books. As you can imagine, there is a procedure in the background that we are developing for quite some time now. I also know that we already have a lot of books that have been quote unquote reserved or ordered, and we are preparing to bring that towards you as soon as we can. Again, you're the first one to learn about that, and we will make a media announcement on Monday about how we are going to do that. What that also means is that, as we always stated, we have to bring back additional employees to help us with those services. As it's widely publicized right now, as I explained a few times already, we have an empty building and we have no way of interacting with customers other than through phone calls and through Twitter announcements and through virtual programming through YouTube or other meeting types. Having said that, when we do start curbside pickup, the customers, will determine also how many people we need to bring back to satisfy the demand. Because as always, as a city, we want to be responsive and we want to deliver to you services that you can expect from a municipality like the city of Monterey. With that, we have called back already one employee to the library who we know we will need to help us set up the system. And I am cautiously optimistic that there might be also one or two other employees that we will need back in order to fulfill those requests for curbside delivery. As you can imagine, there is also work to be done when we pick up the books again. And those books literally have to go into quarantine and have to be treated as well. So there are a lot of new procedures that we have to implement and we have to test them. And until this runs smoothly, a few days may pass. So I ask you to be patient, but that is also good news that came together with opening of the restaurants. It means also for us that it's another step for one of our facilities to be able to reopen. What that also means is that other facilities, of course, are gearing up as well in anticipation of reopening. Of course, the opening of the sports center is still a little further away than maybe the opening of other facilities. But we are working hard also in the sports center to have our sports center ready for the day when we are allowed to open the facility again. We will have sufficient people in the sports center to take care of our customers and ensure that we are compliant with the CDC guidelines and that our folks that are coming back, our customers that are coming back, can be assured that this is a clean and a safe facility. And as we are approaching that day also, we will be also very proactive in letting all you know what we are doing to reopen the library, the sports center. The point though is, at the very end, it's not so much what we are doing. We can run the cleanest facilities, the cleanest wipe down weights or treadmills. In the end, it's only one element, one person who decides if they want to come back to the sports center, to the library, to the recreation centers, and that is you. It's a very personal decision whether you go into a restaurant today or not, and that is the same decision that you will have to make, our customers will have to make, how they want to return to the sports center. So we are very appreciative of that. We're very appreciative of understanding those dynamics as well. And as we are allowed to reopen our facilities, I've said this many times, and as we are allowed to bring back customers into the facilities, we will adjust staffing levels. The mayor said something very pointedly last Tuesday when he said, our facilities are empty right now. We cannot have employees standing in empty facilities for services that no one wants to take right now. And the opposite is true as well. Our facilities will have employees as those services are being needed. With that, I wanted to share another bit of good news. We had anticipated to lay off 82 employees on June 2nd, and you have heard those numbers before. We eliminated 102 positions, 82 were positions that were filled with employees. Now that number has shrunk to, I believe, 74 employees that have been laid off, because we were able to bring back some of those employees back into their positions, because as the opening progresses and our services are needed again, we will bring back those employees. We always use the term temporary layoff without really defining what temporary means. In some cases, it actually meant that the layoff was actually not executed and they came back prior to the layoff date. These employees are mainly employees in the parking division. As you know, we sent out a media release this week that we called Paid Parking is Back. I can see many of you jumping up and down of joy because it's paid parking is back. But we wanted to make that media release so that everyone knows again that our parking enforcement is actively out in many lots right now. The parking garages are still open and free, but that is also just a matter of days now until we are also in the parking garages again, open to receive credit card payments to pay for your parking fees inside the garages. So with that, let me talk about the last council meeting that we had on Tuesday. And the last council meeting on Tuesday was focused on our budget. And our team had conducted 3 public outreach meetings on Monday. We spoke on Monday morning with the business association. We spoke with the neighborhood associations, and then we conducted also a virtual town hall meeting in the evening on Monday from 6:30 to about 8:15. And we asked folks, what are your preferences? What do you think about a TOT increase? What do you think we should do with respect to restructuring our organization, with respect to services, with respect to our labor cost, etc. We received a great deal of feedback from a lot of folks that were calling in, and we are really processing that feedback. And what is important to know is at the end of that processing of the feedback, at the end of proposing for a budget, there is also the element that every single one of you can let us know, let your council person know how you would like to see the city progress. And it is a community-based process. Unfortunately, as I stated to you before, this process is condensed to just a few weeks because we need to get our act together based on our devastated budgets. And I shared with the council this week that on the day we had the council meeting, we received another hit. And that hit came a little bit unexpected from the sales tax collected in the first quarter of this year. And again, the first quarter of this year is January, February, March. And we had expected a slight dip in the sales tax because we understood that the COVID-19 worries started around mid-March, and ergo the sales tax would drop between March 15 and March 30th. But what we did receive on Tuesday through the disbursement of the sales tax by the state of California was completely devastating news. Our sales tax that was dispersed to us was 78% down from the previous quarter in 2019. So when you compare the first quarter of 2019 to the first quarter of 2020, it was a dip of 78% or something like $630,000 versus $142,000. So that was unexpected. And that also shows that the impacts are still happening. And that also shows that we need to continue to work on this budget, and we need to be conservative to the degree that we can still expect other hits to come to our budget. And so what we proposed on Tuesday to the council was a budget reduction of an around $80 million general fund by 23, I believe, I apologize, to $21 million, a reduction of $21 million. That is very substantial. And it is the work of our team, and it's also the work of our community that is reflected in our budget. And as we are going forward, we are still asking for community input and community ideas. What this budget will entail is reductions that were already made in parks and recreation and in the library and in the sports center, with a clear understanding that we are ramping those operations up again as we are allowed to do that. So please keep that in mind. When you hear somebody say the library is gutted by 60% or 70%, whatever the number is, keep in mind that we are bringing back librarians as we are allowed to bring it back. Our opening plan right now for the library actually entails that we will have opening hours from Monday through Saturday, which will be 38% less than we had prior to COVID-19. You saw me hesitating there for a second. I believe it's Monday through Saturday. It could be Tuesday through Saturday. So please don't hold my feet to the fire if I misspoke there. But I know the other number is correct. Compared to pre-COVID, we will just have a reduction of 38% of our opening hours. Now, every hour that we are not open is a loss for someone. We understand that, but our budget takes care of those questions, and we have to start somewhere. But we start at a very high level, let me say it that way. So our budget that we are bringing forward contains those closures that we have right now, with a clear understanding that we have to tinker and adjust those numbers as we are going forward. The budget also contains the budget action that the council took 2 months ago when we basically discontinued the NCIP for just this upcoming fiscal year 2021. So that's another $3 million that we grab from the NCIP, and we gratefully grab, but that will help us to restore services or get by with respect to the losses of the revenues. There are a variety of other elements in that budget. One of them is that all departments were asked to reduce their budgets across all departments, not equally, but how they look they can sustain those. So you see that the police department is proposing to freeze and not hire a number of positions. And there will be some service impacts. But my clear question to the chief was, I want you to continue to do your core missions. With whatever you propose to me, you need to reassure us and the community that your core mission, public safety, will continue on the high level that we have right now. And he assured me that those steps that they are taking will take this into consideration. Now, you have heard about the fire department, maybe. We are not proposing to lay off any firefighters in our fire station. That is not going to happen, and we are not even allowed to propose that because our contracts with our firefighter bargaining unit states very clearly that we need to have certain staffing levels assured in every station 24/7, 365 days a week. But what we propose is to underfill or not fill certain positions that are more in the administrative section of the fire department, and also to not fill a training captain position. And what will happen then is when you go through, and if the council approves that, if you go then through this procedure, at the very end, you will find possibly firefighter recruits that are currently in the academy that we are not able to take over into full-time employment because all the other positions are still filled with active firefighters. So when you hear that possibly firefighters are being laid off, let me assure you, this is based on that chain of events that I just described to you, but our fire stations, our firefighters, our fire engineers, our fire captains will all continue to fully staff every single fire station 24/7, 365 days a year. You will not see a service impact coming out of those stations whatsoever. I felt that was important to state as well. So that was police, fire. In public works, we are doing some modifications in how we are allocating employees. One of them is that we have an existing backlog of work orders plus additional work at the Presidio of Monterey, which is a fully reimbursement contract with the federal government. So we are sending some of those employees that have worked in the city facilities onto the Presidio to help them with that surge of work orders and that surge of project work right now. It's amazing. The federal government is slightly different than us. Their funds are still in existence and we want to use that. Now, what does this mean for the city? It means for us in our city offices that we might not have repairs done as they have to be done, or we might just not do certain things with respect to the maintenance of our own facilities. Now, this is not a good approach, but what is more important is to rescue the expertise and keep people employed. And so we had to make that decision, and we, of course, decided to keep people employed. That's what we do in public works. We have further reductions in other departments. Most of our operational accounts will be reduced to low dollar amounts. As you can imagine, we still need operational supplies. We still need light bulbs that we need to exchange if something burns out. We still need some weed eaters that help us to maintain our parks, but we are depleting the operational accounts also to a great extent. There will be no training unless it's really mandatory. There will be no travel and unless it's mandatory for us. Memberships in organizations will be decimated. We just stick to those memberships that are really important to us, like the League of California Cities, like the National League of Cities. We need to be members there because our voices are amplified through them so much stronger. But we are cleaning up the budget of all those accounts as well. So go back to the point, how do we get $21 million? Something like $5 to $6 million will come from those budget cuts as well. We'll also tap into the reserves with around $600,000. We also use one-time money and use those one-time savings to also help the budget. For instance, the capital improvement program. We will not have that. That is usually $1.4 million. We're taking 900,000 of that off the table. We are leaving 500,000 in the capital improvement program and allocate that money just to green belt fuel reduction. So $500,000 will go starting July 1st into, again, what you all know and what you all understand is green belt fuel reduction to keep our neighborhoods safe from potential wildfires. All in all, that package was discussed by the council. And all in all, I can share with you that most of them accepted all those proposed changes. What we also brought forward to the council is an increase in TOT. And the idea there is that we increase the TOT by 2%. It will help us to sustain our operations because we expect that we will not return to our former income levels of our revenues sooner or later. However, what I expect that you, the community, expect to have the sports center open as soon as possible with all the service levels we had. You expect probably also the library to gradually return to where it was prior to COVID-19. And the same expectations apply to our recreational programs and our recreation centers, including Schulze centers. There's nothing wrong with those expectations. It will be our job to ensure that we can fund those expectations. And with that, we are suggesting that the council considers a 2% TOT increase. I can tell you that the convention center and the convention center business will remain on its knees for a long, long time. Yesterday, you just learned that the marathon, the Big Sur Marathon, was canceled for November. And as we are going forward, conventions keep canceling on us. And the convention business is very important to the city of Monterey because it fills hotel rooms during the week all year round. And if hotel rooms during the week are filled around the conference center, that means that other visitors have to branch out to other hotels in the city of Monterey. That's what we call the compression effect that the conference center generates. However, with that generation of convention business, we are also generating a lot of hotel tax and sales tax. If you have in the middle of the week in October on a Wednesday, 2,000 people walking up and down Alvarado Street in the Wharf because they attend a convention with their families, that is real business that you usually do not have outside of the summer months. Now, this will be missing, and our convention business will continue to lag behind even further. Right now, the governor speaks about convention business as stage 4 of the reopening. So that means long, long time from now. With that, going back to the topic of we are proposing to the council to raise the TOT by 2%. Of course, the hospitality industry has concerns about that. And of course, the arguments need to be heard because the hospitality industry is also paying for the restoration, for the cost of the construction of our new conference center through additional surcharges on their hotel bill. And I like to remind everyone, while our TOT is at 10% right now, if you stay in one of the conference center hotels, your effective rate is actually 14.1% because we are recovering cost for the conference center. And if you stay somewhere else in town in a full service hotel, like the Monterey Plaza or the Clement Hotel, the full cost is 12.1% because we are adding 2.1% to the hotel. And if you stay in a small motel, it's 0.8% more or almost 11%. So we're charging a lot more money than just the 10%. But having said that, we are still proposing to charge 2% more. So the council is looking at that as well. And over the next 14 days, you will be asked also to review that budget, give us your input. And I'm very sure that you have done that already and will continue to listen to you and make adjustments. So that was about the budget, and it was a very healthy discussion. The mayor spoke how respectful it was, and it was a very respectful interaction between every party involved with that. And I thank you for those who have called in. Now, let me talk briefly also about the national events that are overshadowing a great deal of our discussions as well. Our police chief came out early on and condemning what we had seen in Minneapolis, the behavior by their police officers that led to the death of George Floyd. We had issued very early on, our police chief had very early on condemned that. On Saturday, we also had a peaceful protest out at Window on the Bay. And as many times we stated, we are very, very committed to have our police officers trained to be respectful, to be understanding of our community and our needs of our community. And I always emphasize that our police cannot be compared with other police forces. Our police force is very educated, very smart, very well trained, and we are very much aware that we have to keep up with what our community wants from us. And so we are looking at that as we are progressing. And yesterday, the former President Obama came out and spoke about 8 can't wait and measures that basically change the way we do policing. I can assure you that we will make a statement about that soon as well, because most, if not all of those elements we have already incorporated into our policing. And as we are going forward in the next few days, maybe even as soon as by Monday or Tuesday, you will hear and learn what we already have implemented for years in our police department. But I wanted to share that with you so that you know we are also very concerned. We are following all those discussions, and we are really, really engaging with the topics that our community is presenting to us. We take that very seriously. That's our obligation, and our city council is very, very much behind that and actually spearheading that in some cases as well. So with that, I want to let you know that we will have a long, sunny weekend ahead of us again. We will be discussing today how we are dealing with the beach access again. As you know, the state has lifted restrictions to all state beaches. Dr. Moreno is following state guidelines now, and the city of Monterey is a little bit more restrictive than other cities are in the county. So we will consider what we have to do for the next weekend or for the coming weeks, and we will keep you informed about our decision as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed our discussion today or my presentation today. My apology again for the late getting online, but there were really some new features of YouTube that we were not seeing. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Shoot me an email if you have a question. My screen right now doesn't allow me to see any questions. I just see it on a Zoom screen, and there are no questions right now. I'm sure there are. If you have questions, you know my email address, uslar@monterey.org. Again, uslar@monterey.org. And I will personally answer every question you're sending me. Again, thank you for listening to me, and have a wonderful